Chapter 517 to 518. Battle. The Space Ability User in Blizzard City. Zhang Yi came to the locker room accompanied by Bailey Chongqing. There were compartments on the cabinets by the wall. Bailey Chongqing walked over and took out a set of training clothes with his authority and then handed it to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi took the training clothes and walked into the compartment inside. He first carefully inspected the training clothes to see if there were any special devices. This set of clothes felt very strange in the hand. It was much heavier than ordinary tights and much thicker than ordinary fabrics. It was obviously made of some special high-tech materials. If I wear it, my personal data will probably be recorded. Zhang Yi's eyes flashed with brilliance. Fortunately, I am not a strengthening alien. It is harmless to just collect my physical data. As for whether my supernatural data will be collected, I can't just keep my strength. Anyway, his basic abilities must be counted in the Jiangnan district. And his only secret is the new fighting method he awakened after absorbing the original Konya source. He couldn't demonstrate that ability to anyone here because it was his trump card. Zhang Yi took off his outer clothes and put on the tights. This suit was very interesting. It didn't have a zipper or anything like that. Instead, after putting it on, you just press a button on your right hand and the tights will automatically fit tightly on your body. After putting it on, Zhang Yi didn't feel any discomfort. He moved his body and actually had a strange feeling. His body seemed to become more flexible and his strength became stronger. This kind of training suit actually has such an effect, Zhang Yi said in surprise. He walked out of the cubicle and Bailey Chongqing was waiting for him outside. Zhang Yi expressed his doubts. Bailey Chongqing smiled and said, "The training suit is actually the same material as our investigation team's uniforms. We usually wear a set of built-in uniforms when we go out on missions. It can improve our overall quality. It's no exaggeration to say that even an ordinary person wearing it can achieve the most basic alpha-level enhanced mutant physical fitness." Zhang Yi looked at the training suit on his body in surprise. There are such magical clothes. Bailey Chongqing saw Zhang Yi's envy and reminded with a smile, "This kind of training suit is very precious. In Blizzard City, only the Yanyan troops and the 6 major investigation teams are qualified to use it. If you like, you can consider joining our Black Robe team." Zhang Yi curled his lips. "Let's forget about this, right?" Bailey Chongqing shrugged. He knew that Zhang Yi didn't like to be constrained. "Then, let's go to the martial arts arena." Zhang Yi said, "Don't worry, I'll give them my satellite phone for safekeeping." The satellite phone contains a person's secrets. Bailey Chongqing thought Zhang Yi didn't trust the safekeeping mechanism here, so he could only smile and say, "Okay, you are really cautious." Zhang Yi smiled and said, "Better safe than sorry. Details determine success or failure." His words were a double entendre, and Bailey Chongqing didn't realize the deep meaning of his words. He walked out with Zhang Yi. At this time, Wu Di was already waiting for Zhang Yi's arrival in the center of the martial arts arena. He folded his arms, closed his eyes and rested, trying to adjust himself to the best state. Zhang Yi came to Lu Karen and others and reached out to hand the satellite phone to Lu Karen. "Karen, please keep this thing for me first." Zhang Yi turned his back to Bailey Chongqing and gave Lu Karen a look. Lu Karen understood and reached out to touch the training suit on Zhang Yi's arm. Zhang Yi chatted with her for few words and delayed for a while. After Lu Karen finished analyzing the material structure of the training suit, Zhang Yi turned around and walked towards the martial arts arena. "Zhang Yi, stop at that point, stop at that point." Bailey Chongqing did not forget to remind Zhang Yi. He was very worried that Zhang Yi would get too excited, and when the divine power was used, it would be very likely that Wu Di would be killed in one blow. Even if he was as strong as he was, he could not guarantee that he could survive after taking that move. Not to mention Wu Di's small arms and legs. Zhang Yi waved his hand behind him, indicating that Bailey Chongqing did not need to worry. Soon he came to the martial arts arena below, along the passage. As for Bailey Chongqing, Lu Karen, Zhou Qier, and others, they were watching the battle on the second floor. The entire martial arts arena is about half the size of a football field, and its shape is similar to that of a football field or the ancient Roman Colosseum. The outer periphery is a dozen-story building, and the battle scene in the field can be clearly seen. Zhang Yi stood a few dozen meters away from Wu Di. He looked at the surrounding space and frowned slightly. This place seems a little small, and I can't do much. The battle between high-level aliens would easily cause large-scale destruction, and this small space is obviously not enough. Wu Di put his hands in his pockets and said lightly, "Oh, you don't have to worry about this." Zhang Yi didn't say anything, but in an instant, all the scenes in front of him were pulled away. Wu Di, who was dozens of meters away from him, suddenly ran hundreds of meters away. The martial arts arena, which was half the size of a football field, became more than 10 square kilometers in size. Zhang Yi was slightly startled, and then he understood. Is this a spatial ability? This was the first time he had seen a person with spatial abilities other than himself. At this time, it was not only Zhang Yi who had a larger space in front of him. On the second-floor viewing platform, the scene in front of Liu Karen, Zhou Qier, and others also became vast. However, rather than saying that the scene had become larger, it was better to say that everything in front of them had shrunk. Bailey Chongqing explained to them, "This is the ability of the Martial Arts Arena Administrator. Its name is Martial Arts Arena. It is a very functional spatial ability." A mechanical and emotionless voice sounded in the ears of Zhang Yi and Wu Di. Martial arts start. When the battle started, no one noticed that there were actually other spectators at the scene besides Zhou Qier and others. The martial arts arena has a very high level of use, and only members of the investigation team and Yanyan cadres are qualified. And this level of battle does not happen often in the entire Blizzard City. So when the martial arts arena was applied for activation, it naturally attracted many people to watch the battle. For example, the captain of the God team, Deng Shintong, was in a room on the third floor at the moment, looking at the two people in the field with interest. He was more or less curious about Zhang Yi. If he can really beat Wu Di, then it's not impossible to give him a chance to become a substitute for the God team. Deng Shintong leaned on the railing, squinting his eyes and smiled. Behind him followed two members of the God team, a short-haired strong man with a beard, and a feminine-looking man in white. This chapter ends here. Please like and subscribe to get more future content.